Welcome back to some more Umineko when they cry. Last time we left off, there was some crazy bullshit, and it's a pretty enjoyable moment too, because now it's Angie versus Battler this time. Well, I thought there would be some sort of the duel of the such, but instead, now instead of a duel, now it's an apocalypse. So, yeah, we have the whole truth versus truth thing posed against each other within this game right here. So now, while they're under siege, they're one of the plans to escape is the Golden Land. But then, according to within Battler's tactic right there. Well, it's more like Kinzo explained it, but yeah. Let's continue. Beato waved her pipe, leaving a golden trail behind as she sliced the air vertically. Then, the gap at the door to the Golden Land appeared. It looked like nothing more than a thin golden string hanging from the ceiling. If you looked closely, you could see that the string was getting thicker very slowly. The door to the Golden Land certainly was opening, but so slowly that you couldn't even tell if you weren't careful. At this rate, it would probably take quite some time before it grew big enough to let a person through.
じい様とガープはこの本丸の守りを頼む。
外壁をよじ登ってくるヤギどもが現れるかもしれんしな。
Alright, there's a fucking window over there too, huh?
心得た。我がライフルは獲物を求めておるわ。
The rifle.
了解よ。そいつらを奈落の穴に落として遊んでるわ。
A giant was sliced at an angle, split into two parts, and fell to the floor, showering it with filthy dark blood and guts.
お見事です。
Splendidly done as she does this smirk full of a face.
次は譲ってやる。
Countless massive goats, which had forced their way in from rooms and windows all across the mansion, wandered about in search of something to chew. Several of the goats noticed a group of people huddled around the staircase and lumbered closer, but they were pulverized by merciless attacks. Ronove's shields easily halted the charging goats, and Vergilia's magic spears were pinning the giants against the walls. Dalinor's and Will's blades were also slicing easily through goats. The pinpoint strikes of the Seven Sisters of Purgatory could pierce the vitals of and finish off any opponent, no matter how large. The Chiester sisters were holding their own too. They had blasted enough ghosts to bits with one shot from their high-caliber firearms that you couldn't count the kills with both hands. Given a limited number of opponents, they were more than a match for these goats. However, they weren't just up against a crowd, but an entire ocean. It was like a pebble trying to face the approaching waves of a stormy sea.
方針交換急げ。煉獄隊にカバーを寄せ。弾が切れたらただのウサギじゃない。 情けない。
7人がかりで一度に1匹しか殺せない文鎮どもに言われたくないに。
Paperweights. Oh, that joke again.
さあどんどんかかってらっしゃい。私たちを退屈させないで。
The hall was filled with massive goat corpses. As if in fear of the sight, the goats that came in one after another formed a wall, keeping their distance.
私たちにかなわないと思ってくれているのでしょうか。
それを期待したいところですが、それは甘いようです。
Yeah, no time for wishful thinking here.
こいつら何なの？私たちを見てボソボソと喋り合ってるわ。
どうやら会話をして連携できる程度の知能があるようだ。
The goats surrounded them at a distance, whispering. Then they nodded at each other as though deciding something, and the whole group stirred. What are they doing? It almost looks like they're lining up in a different order.
敵陣形を変更。より突破力のある個体に最前列を譲ったものと推定。
だからなんだというの。行くわよお前たち。
Oh shit. The army of goats we're discussing tactics.
はい、お姉さん。
お待ちなさい。相手の様子が変です。
Lucifer took aim at one of them, going for his forehead. The other 6 sisters followed her lead, trying to pierce the vital organs all over the creature's body. However, there was no sound of pierced flesh. The 7 sisters of Purgatory were knocked back, unable to cause even the smallest wound.
何？どういうこと？こいつら何か喋ってるわ。
The goats kept whispering the same thing over and over as they slowly approached the 7 sisters. All of them whispered unanimously. As they whispered curses that denied the 7 sisters' existence, the goats lumbered closer.
煉獄隊を下がって援護します。
ヤギども、教育してやる。
Yeah. Let's see if I'm really curious how the armored goats can handle that. The golden bows of the Chiester troops mowed down the wall of goats with a shower of bright golden bullets. Some of the goats were torn to pieces, but some of them seemed completely unaffected. Then the goats who were uninjured all whispered as one.
ミステリーで説明可能。幻想は全て関係なし。
どうやら
魔法を認めない連中もいっぱいいるみたいだわ。
認めないということは
魔法の攻撃が一切通用しないということだわ。それじゃあ私たちの攻撃は通用しないってこと？
Oh god. Well, that ain't good. Wait a minute. Do I even have the bullet planner? Let's see.
エンドレスナイン、私たちを認めてくれなきゃ攻撃も通じないに。
そんなことが。
試してみるのが一番ですな。
Ronove stepped forward, stamped on the floor twice, and a red barrier rose up in front of them. The crowd of goats dashed into it with a terrifying force. While some goats were blown away by it, several of them slipped right through the magical barrier. Their creature fiction. Yes, everything is fiction within us. So, do. That's what I figured too. If this is just some sort of like the theory within mind, you know.
なるほど。私の攻撃も一切通じない連中がいるようですな。
Uh-oh. Ain't that a bitch? There was no longer any point in Virgilia trying out her magic spear. Now that some of the goats had decided that her existence was fictional, she could no longer hurt them. Even these great demons and great witches, as well as high-level furniture and weapons, were overcome with fear of the crowd that surrounded them. A crowd that would not be affected by any of their attacks.
どうすんのよ私たち。最後の一発まで戦うのだ。貴様らの戦士は許可しない。
幻想は全て虚構。幻想は全て虚構。幻想は全て虚構。
You really think like fighting till the end is the right tactic here? A shriek from one of the goats became a signal for the wall of them to break. They pushed forward with gaping mouths and foul breath, each trying to reach their prey first, trying to return these fictional creatures to nothingness.
危ないお前たち。
Virgilia leapt in front of and held several of the seven sisters, who had fallen on their butts, overpowered by the ferocity of the approaching goats. However, even Virgilia was a fictional creature to these goats. They could chew through her like cotton candy.
まだ今のうちに。
Ronove threw himself at the oncoming goats. Even he would be chewed apart easily. Knowing this, Ronove leapt forward.
魔法が通じずともこのロナ 忠義に熱き熱血漢である事実は揺らぎます。ましてや不女子を見捨てることがあるとお思いで。
Oh no, my homeboy Ronove.
ロノウェは戦争、ロノウェは幻想。
Ronove slammed his right fist into the side of the goat's face. As soon as he pulled it back, he swung his left leg into the goat's gut, then spun around into a reverse roundhouse that caught the goat again. Ronove knew he could do less damage than a mosquito bite against those who didn't accept his existence. This was the height of anti-magic defensive power, Endless 9. The goat swung its log-like fist with a sound like a storm. Ronove dodged by a hair. Had he been an instant slower, that massive arm would have crushed his head like glass.
ロノウェ、よして逃げて。
このロノウェ、ご婦人のピンチを前にはついつい奮い立ってしまいます。私の悪い癖。
Ronove grinned and tried to act tough. He had already sacrificed all he had. There was nothing he could do here and now except become a shield to buy time. He had already chosen to abandon his life for this.
ロノウェは戦争、言い訳はない。幻想性は存在しない。存在しない。ファンタジーは全部ゲロカスゲロカス。
The goats kept coming, trying to feast on Ronove. None had any pretensions of making this a one-on-one fight. It ain't no one-on-one fight anymore. Nothing mattered except chewing apart fantasy, chewing apart fiction. Even just a nibble. As they gnashed those ruthless jaws and fangs, they closed in around Ronove. Ronove's foot hit something, and he stumbled. At the same instant, several massive arms reached out and lifted him up.
シエスタ、何をしてるのよ。撃ちなさいよ。撃ってどうにかなるなら、もう撃ってるに。
Your,
皆さんどうかお下がりを。
their bullets are useless.
私を夢中でかじる間は多少は時間が稼げるでしょう。
What do you mean, buy you time? There's a shitload of goats coming in an endless wave.
しかしこのロノウェ、少し小骨が多いかもしれませんぞ。
That's not gonna satisfy their hunger. An elbow rammed itself into the massive, hideous jaws that were trying to chew Ronove's head. Of course, the goat didn't moan, but that did nothing but deprive just one goat of his right to the first bite of Ronove's head. Many jaws opened wide, trying to crush him and throw him down into those heartless stomachs, which would permit no cheerful illusions to exist.
ファンタジーは認めない。認め
There we go. Oh no. Not my homeboy Ronove. Oh fuck. Not like this. All of the many arms that lifted Ronove up were sliced off. The seven sisters used this chance to fly forward and grab Ronove, dragging him back.
ミステリーとおっしゃった方はどなたですか？
With mystery? Did someone say mystery? The look on her face.
ドラノールの刃は通じるの？
そうか、相手がミステリーを主張するのなら。
Blood-red longsword in hand, Dalinar slowly walked forward. Behind her walked Will, tapping his back with his black blade.
ファンタジーじゃねえってなら聞こうじゃねえか、お前らの推理。
He's like,
皆さんのご考説、とても楽しみです。
The crowd of goats stepped back. Though they had been so vicious against the illusions, they stepped back when faced with this pair wielding swords of mystery.
このゲーム版で行われた密室殺人の数々、どれからでも受けて立ちましょう。
違うぜ。受けて立つのは俺らじゃねえ。
そうでした。ミステリーとは挑むもの。なぜに私たちが受けて立たねばというのか。
分かってんだろうな、お前ら。
You're the ones in the hot seat now. Blue truth cut the goats apart. That blue truth dwelt within each and every one of the riddles from Beata's games so far. What about the closed room with the chain? First game, second twilight. What about the closed room of the chapel, second game, first twilight? What about the trick to killing Nanjo, third game, ninth twilight? There was no end to the blades. The countless riddles Beatrice had left behind became blades, challenges, quote-unquote, that tore the goats apart. If they wanted to deny fantasy, they would have to make a counter-argument. They would have to deal with every single trick as a mystery. However, while most of the goats called themselves anti-fantasy, they hadn't thought up any answers for the mystery. So, every now and then, goats with answers did appear. One of the... This fucking goat. Someone outside the Ushiromiya family was hiding on the island and, Nope.
ノックス第1条、犯人 は物語当初の登場人物以外は禁ず。
共犯でない複数の犯人が存在して偶然にも人の犯人が見るかのように。
バンダイン第12則。真犯人が複数であることを禁ず。
そんなもんまで禁止なんて。
つまんねえだろそんなミステリー。だから俺は思うぜ、ミステリーはもっと自由であるべきだとな。
ノックスに次回もバンダイン20足も時代をくれ。
Or the goat? I don't know if the goat. I don't know. The goats look like sounded like they're on some copium right there.
時代によってことごとなるはず。
こいつら開き直りやがった。
やはり私たちは時代遅れということなのでしょう。
なら俺たちを納得させる推理を聞かせてみやがれ。
いざ来たれ。
The whole crowd of goats charged them. In their fangs, each of them carried theories to crush Beato's closed rooms. The bodies of these goats differed from those who had become corpses so easily. They had mystery-style answers to several closed rooms, so it would take several blade hits to give them a fatal wound. However, Beato had left many blades behind. All of them were exceedingly sharp. So, the pair of inquisitors didn't think this would be a desperate battle. This is mystery. The goal is to use all your imagination and knowledge to challenge each of the riddles head-on. Doing so is the greatest pleasure of the mystery genre. So they laughed. Both Will and Dalinor laughed, with smiles of admiration at the theories the goats had put everything they had into. They countered with blades from all the closed rooms. The crowd of goats was no longer an encirclement, but a great wave threatening to swallow the pair up. And yet, the pair repelled the enemy without giving an inch. They resisted firmly, cutting through the wave of wailing goats. It was like an ice-breaking ship, knocking a path through a frozen sea.
誰にも使えない秘密の通路で密室に入った。
ノックス第3条、秘密の通路の存在を禁ず。
秘密の集合をしようと溶接して使用を不可能にしたため、検証時秘密の通路は存在してなくて。
ノックス第8条、提示されない手がかりでの解決を禁ず。
Oh wow. Now we have a interesting CG image right here. Not really a CG image per se, but another image right there.
これは全て狂言殺人で誰も死亡していない。だから密室は全て
Oh no. It's the defense has been slowly breaking. What is this shit? All fake murders. Dalinar hesitated for just an instant. After all, this cliched and simple theory managed to get around both Beato's closed rooms and the Nox commandments. Dalinar saw nothingness inside the goat's massive jaws. Will sitting here like, the fuck you doing?
バンダイン第7則死体なき事件であることを禁ずる
Yeah, imagine if you didn't have Will on your side. The goat's jaws seemed to close around Dalinar's head. However, the upper and lower jaws were no longer connected, so the upper half merely slid off to the side.
ダイノックスも狂言殺人までは封じ損ねた
殺人以外のミステリーも立派なミステリーです。
The goats weren't about to back off and let the pair have a nice long chat about the mystery genre. The next massive figure immediately enveloped them. Will's blade drew a diagonal slash across its chest, but it only cut through its clothes, leaving no wound. Oh shit.
こいつ20のくさびが通用しね
Dalinar also hit it with her longsword, but still, it just cut its clothes without leaving a mark on its body. Could this goat have a theory that doesn't violate Nox or Van Dyne? In an attempt to stop the goat from saying any more, Will and Dalinar hit it with blades from every closed room, as well as stakes from the 10 Commandments and the 20 Rules, but none of them had any effect. Slowly, the goat clenched its massive fists together and raised them up high. With a roar, Will slammed into the goat giant with his body. Though its massive bulk bent back slightly, Will was still leaping into a death trap. However, if he hadn't done so, he wouldn't have been able to protect Dalinar. The goat grabbed Will. It lifted him up and held him high in the air. It was like a little kid showing off his favorite toy and waving it around.
お前の推理聞いてやら名推理が聞けて散れるならライトの最後にはふさわしいだろう
Oh no. My homeboy Willard. Oh shit. Not like this. That's crazy, bro. The goat's massive hands closed on Will like a vis. I don't know how you pronounce it. All the bones in Will's body were creaking.
聞かせろよお前の推理
They're like, fuck that. I don't need to. I don't even need to give y'all a theory.
何
なぜならエアコンのジェネさすで推理するのバカバカしらばかし
それはどういう意味だ
こんなのは本格推理じゃない考えるだけ時間の無駄だベアトリーチェのゲームミステリーだとか俺は認めないすべてのトリックに回答などない全部一層に
Well then.
考えるだけ時間の無駄
Will's head was lowered, so his face couldn't be seen. However, the arm of the goat holding him was shaking. The embrace of those log-sized arms with superhuman strength was being slowly pushed away by Will's shaking
考
arms.
えるだけ時間の無駄お前ミステリーを語ってその言葉を口にするのかミステリーってのはな騎士道なんだよ自らの掲げた高潔なルールで挑むその姿勢を誇るもんなんだよ勝てば卑怯でいいのかどんなに気高く戦っても負ければ意味はないのか勝ち負けじゃねえだろそう戦う気高さを誇るもんだろ
True. The goat's arms were now spread wide, and it looked as though Will was now the one pushing it back. Will's face was covered in shadow and couldn't be seen.
お前のようなミステリーをする気もねえのにミステリーを語るやつがよ俺は一番気に入らねえんだよ
Will slammed his forehead into the goat's now unprotected head.
ミステリーを語るなら思考で戦う姿勢を誇れミステリーを語るなら二度と思考の停止を誇らしげに語るんじゃねえ
Will hit it with his head over and over again. His forehead had been torn apart by the goat's fangs, but he kept on hitting it. Van Dyne and Knox may be behind the times. The mystery genre does progress with time, just like the world around it. However, there's one thing that never changes. That is pride. What is a knight proud of? Not victory. He's proud of his courage, which lets him stand up to anyone without fear. Will couldn't forgive the kind of coward who could turn tail from a fight and then brag about it. People who call themselves mystery readers but who have no pride are the only people Will just can't stand. You know, Willard is like the type of dude that summarizes the current era of debate culture. The goat, unable to put up with this anymore, threw Will down to the floor. Then he lifted his fists again, determined to crush Will to pieces this time.
キラ、お前は俺を叩き潰すだろう。だがそれはお前の勝利じゃねえ。お前は自らのプライドを自らの手で叩き潰すんだよ。
A fist like a cannonball swinging down towards him was the very last thing Will saw before he shut his eyes.
思考停止はこのゲームじゃ敗北ってことになってるぜ。
Damn, Battler. Showing up at the last minute again. Battler smashed his fist into the goat's mouth and smashed the teeth bounced off the ceiling.
バトラ様。
思考停止ってことはミステリーであることを諦めたってことだぜ。
And what the hell is this? Battler using the Mike Tyson punch out against the goat.
ってことはお前にとってはこのゲームはファンタジーってことだな。
Yeah, it's just a game, bro. Battler lifted up his arm, realizing this was a signal. Lucifer and Chester 00 jumped.
思考を止めたならお前はもう舞台の上にいるべき役者じゃねえ。偉そうに語ってないで観覧席でポップコーンでも食ってろよ。
The goat lifted his fist again, then swung it down at Battler like a hammer.
ファンタジーに屈したならただの的でしかないに。
それはすなわち私たちの存在を認めるも同じということ。
敵識別を開始。魔法攻撃可能な個体を HMD にマーキング。
ファンタジーに屈服してる子は私たちが相手してあげる。
I can't believe the opposing team revealed their weakness.
推理があるならば我らが伺いましょう。
そういう輩は大歓迎だぜ。
Yeah, imagine trying to say like, oh, all these rules are just meaningless. It's just like, well, no, it's just like you're just giving up the game.
敬意を示して全力で受け止めてやら。
おっと、しかしここはバトラ様の見せ場のようですが。
ミステリーもファンタジーもお前ら自慢のご考説をゆっくりと拝聴してところだがな。しかし今回はお前らのゲームじゃない。お前ら未来のかけらがどんなに否定しようとも俺は折れるわけにはいかねえんだよ。
A golden glint gathered in Battler's hand. It was so bright that the whole hall was bathed in gold. Golden butterflies flitted about as though the whole room was being swallowed up by the Golden Land. Badler lifted his golden long sword high. I guess that's also another thumbnail choice.
ミステリーもファンタジーもレアとのゲームに挑む姿勢は大いに結構だ。歓迎もする。だがな、俺のこの最後のゲームの否定だけは絶対にさせねえ。眠る者の尊厳を傷つける不謹慎を知れ。
A slice of the golden longsword flooded the hall with a sea of golden light. Excuse me. Then the whole group of goats clambering about the hall turned into clouds of gold butterflies and scattered. Even so, only about 100 of them had been wiped out. Before long, the massive crowds of goats outside would probably come pouring in.
ガートルードたちの封印はもう少しだ。すまないが、もうしばらくここを持ちこたえてくれ。
もちろんだよ、バトラ卿。
それくらいしか私たちに見せ場はないし。
お前らも少しは戦ってもいいんだぞ。
Yeah. He's like, why are you two acting like the observers here?
だって
私たちは
司会者だし。
Their excessively blunt refusal drew a few strained smiles. However, it had lessened the tension in the room just a bit.
バトラ様、ここは私たちにお任せを。これ以上の侵食を許しはしません。そして私たちの誰も決してかけることはありません。
無論です。なぜなら私たちもバトラ卿のゲーム版の大切な駒なのですから。
Ain't this something? The seven sisters of Purgatory, the Chiester sisters' corpse, and everyone else nodded forcefully.
ああ、頼むぜ、みんな。エンジのための最後のゲーム、絶対に守るぞ。下はなんとか持ちこたえてる。
黄金鏡の扉もゆっくりと開き続けているぞ。
And it sure is taking quite a long while. It's almost like waiting for a freaking spirit bomb to be done.
まだ時間がかかるがな。
A spirit bomb. Oh my goodness.
そういうわけだ。俺たちも時間を稼がねえとな。
The sea of goats that covered the ground below them was jostling about more and more. By now, even the sea surrounding the island had disappeared. The horizon was gone, and the chewed up island was now floating on an eerie emptiness like space. What, there's no sea? It's like they vacuumed up all the water surrounding the island. That's funny. That's some thirsty ass goats. An eerie emptiness like space. The goats that flooded the edges of Rokujima seemed to be spilling off the sides.
このゲーム版はもうおしまいだな。
ゲームマスターがいて、コマが揃ってさえいれば。いつかゲーム版などまた広げられる。ゲームなど人が2人揃いさえすれば何だってできるのだからな。
そうだな。エンジは一体どこへ？
Gee, I wonder what Angie is doing right now.
例のあれはどこへ隠した？
そうだ。礼拝堂。礼拝堂はどうだって？
まだ残っている。
I see what Angie was doing. She came up the tactic to distract the opposing team just so she can make her way to the chapel. The chapel looked like a white building floating in the pitch black sea of goats. Yes, this was strange. There was no way those goats, who consumed everything, would go out of their way to avoid just the chapel.
エンジはあそこだ。
Well, I guess this is a good time to, oh boy, another cliffhanger for y'all. Well, I think it's a good time to stop it from here. So next part, let's see what's going on over at the chapel. And see whether Angie fulfilled her goal or not. So with that being said, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Have a good one.